All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Project Red. Today I'm going to be kind of going over my electrical strategy, you can say. Because for a project like this, you're doing it by yourself. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. So this is maybe a rare video that I might be the only person to ever do it. So today we're talking about electrical wiring on a car, at least from the ECU to dash to motor and transmission. So at least what it pertains to my car. So what I have is a 99 Acura Integra. It's OBD2. It may not matter. I have a Honda S2000. It's 2001. May or may not matter. And an 05 RSX transmission. So if you look at that, that's three different puzzles you gotta put together, right? Three major pieces. And I'm also going to run the S2000 gauge cluster. So originally what I thought was the way the impression was that I just did the engine harness and it should plug right up to the ECM and then I should just run power to it and be done, right? Should be that simple. It has 3 plugs on it and it's got 3 plugs on the ECM. They should plug right up. Well, lo and behold, that doesn't work. So I was playing with electrical, my lights here there from the last video, right? So let me show you the status of that. That's pretty much done. It's ready to go. I do have to finish up the other side, and I ran out of those flex conduit things. Gotta go to the store, O'Reilly's, and pick up some more. But what I'm saying is, okay, check this out. Let me explain that a little bit more. This is the engine harness. I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit, and I have to terminate some of these wires that are not properly terminated. But that harness had 3 plugs. It had this plug, it had this plug, and it had this plug. All right, I thought this plug was just gonna plug right up to that, but that would be too easy, right? So that plugs up to the harness. And at first I thought, wait, I might not even need that plug, right? I might not even need it. What the heck does that plug even do? So out comes the AEM Series 2 EMS, and you look at the pinout. This is what separates the electrical people from the mechanical people, okay? So when you look at this, that connector, that's connector number A. Connector number A. You just start coming down it, and it will tell you which pin does what. So pin number 1 is engine coolant temp. Shit, I need that. Air control valve. Shit, I need that too. EVAP bypass. Nope. Purge control. Nope. Vehicle speed sensor. Shit, need that too. Check engine light. Probably not. Maybe. I'm not sure. Immobilizers. Not gonna need it. Fuel pump relay. Need that. ACT clutch or AC clutch relay. Don't need that. Malfunction indicator light. Now to show that what it is. Engine pulse. Gonna need that. We actually do need that. Radiator fan. We need that too. K-line. I don't know what that is. We'll look that up. Secondary O2. Nope. Starter switch signal. Maybe. Immobilizer code. Nope. Electrical power steering detect. Nope. AC air pumps. Nope. Fuel tank pressure sensor. Nope. Electrical load detector. Nope. Brake switch signal. Maybe. So about half of those you're gonna need. All right. So you can't just not plug it in. So you gotta have to plug it in. And the problem was I was kind of hoping I could just splice that right in here, but that's not gonna work. So on the good side is we were planning on running the S2000 gauge cluster also. So with that, a long time ago when I was doing this project, I was gonna run this just in the Integra with the B series. And when you do that, you have to have these pigtails, these 3 pigtails. So I found a real killer deal from a junkyard in Fresno. I live in Oklahoma, and I found a killer deal on eBay in Fresno. Guy had a wrecked in S2000. It was in a junkyard, and he wanted $30 for the harness. So I was like, good deal. Let me get the whole thing. So I got that. It's been sitting in my stash pile for the longest time. And this plug, what do you know, plugs up to the dash harness. And then it's got another plug that plugs up to this. So I'm assuming these sensors run all the way out somewhere else. I am not sure. Or maybe it just reroutes right there. Not sure. But I'm just happy I have it. And at this moment, we are going to basically tear this harness apart, keep what we can keep, and just rewrap everything. And here's the other thing. You got 3 connectors and a 4th plug on this side. That plug is provided by from AEM. Sorry, I can't speak. But that plug is actually a good plug to do, because that is where your AEM UAGO, your wideband, comes into. C16 and D9. You don't need that. And then D16 and D11 is for boost controller. Okay, and it's on a switch. So that you gotta have that. So let's just quickly go over some of the other connectors. So this is the B connector. Power source, switched and unswitched. Let me explain switch and unswitched. Switched means power or voltage only comes on when you turn the key, okay? For most OEM, that's what that means. And unswitched is battery, basically. It's always on, okay? So keep that in mind. We got injectors 2, 3, and 4. Those are the injectors. There's another injector. 1 is down here on B11. Power source 2, power and ground 2. So power sources and grounds. So that might be ground points, things like that. VTEC solenoid. That's a pretty dang important one. PWM. We might use that for some later. Can't tell you about it yet. Logical ground. Dedicated. Okay, so that's good. Backup voltage plus permanent 12 volts. So that's basically that is where we're gonna terminate to our ground bus. No, not ground bus. Voltage bus. 12 volt bus. Logical ground. Idle air control valve. That's actually pretty good. Knock. Input available. Software knock. So we might still use that too. And idle 8. I'm not sure. Let's look at this. Primary O2 heater control. I don't think we need that. Alternator control. We don't have any alternator controls. Ignition coil number 1. So that's your spark number 1. Alternator FR signal. EGT number 4. Probably not going to use. Ground sensor. Dedicated sensor only. Okay, well. And then like I said, some of these we don't know what it is. So we got the crank sensor, we got the timing ground. That's cool. Which should already be using the OEM harness. The VTEC pressure switch number 4. That's pretty important. Ignition coil 1. So this basically spark plug number 1, spark plug 2, 3, and 4. O2 sensor 1 and 2. We only run 1, so we only got 1. And that's where the wideband comes in, which we're not using right now. We're gonna use the other route. Map sensor. We are using a 4-bar map sensor. We are gonna have to recalibrate that. Grounds, top dead center, cam, and timing guard. Not really sure. Knock sensor number 2. Knock is available. I think we have 1 knock sensor on there. Vehicle speed sensor. Not really sure. Air pump, not gonna need. Idle. This is the intake air temp sensor, C25. You're gonna need that. Coolant temperature, we're gonna need that. Throttle position sensor, you're gonna need that. Voltage is +5. You don't mess with these. These are all outputs. +5. There's 12 volts. Okay, so the car's battery is 12 volts, right? So it supplies 12 volts to the computer. The computer then brings it down to 5 because all your sensors are on 5 volts. So the 5 volt out that comes out from the computer, it goes to your harness, and then it basically gets divided to all your sensors. So sensors are always on 5, and primary car power is on 12. Like your starter is 12, alternator runs on 12, things like that. So there's 2 power systems you got to worry about when you're doing this yourself. And here's your D. Like I said, this is the D, which we probably won't use. All these pins, we will for some of them. So we got injector number 5, injector number 7, idle number 1. We're not running all that unless you're doing some pretty cool rally style backfiring, blah 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 type of system, which we can. I looked at that feature. It's actually I actually looked at that feature. The anti-lag stuff, it is available. I don't know, maybe. I don't have that much money to replace an engine, so probably not. Where is the other thing they wanted us to do? Yeah, so basically, boost available solenoid output PW2. That's for your boost controller, which, sorry, stuff he knows, but which I am running. We're planning to run the digital boost controller, so we're running that, and we're running the Uego wideband. So everything's AEM too, so sucker better freaking fire up first time, right? Whew, well, that's a lot. That's a lot to say. Alright, here's the other thing. I covered the engine stuff. I covered the ECU and the dash, right? One more important thing. Transmission. This is not an S2000 transmission. And in my harness that I originally got, the engine harness, they cut the cords that were going to go to the transmission. So, I say cords, but it's actually wires. So, the RSX transmission, and this is kind of true with every transmission, you need a vehicle speed sensor somewhere. Okay, so it's probably, well, let me run you through the sensors first. There's a sensor right there, right down there. It's a black one. You may not see it. Let me turn the lights on. Maybe you can see it after that. There we go. There's a sensor right there. Little black one right there. There's another sensor. Where'd it go? Saw it yesterday. Right here. Sensor right here. There's another sensor right there. And there's another sensor right here. Right? So that's three sensors. Three sensors, right? So, three sensors. There's one that's going to be a clutch, one's a speed, and maybe one is reverse. So, I'm thinking, I could be wrong, gotta go do some research, but I am thinking at the moment, I am thinking, I'm thinking that is a gear selector, so it's right on the gear selector, so that should be reverse. That's my guess. That's on the flywheel, so not flywheel. That's on the. I'm not sure actually. That might be a vehicle speed sensor. No, that's probably a speed sensor right here actually. That's probably a speed sensor, and that's gotta be the clutch. That's gotta be the clutch because the clutch is right here, right? Clutch, reverse, speed sensor. I don't know. We'll find out. You might have to put power to it, and actually, this is how I would test the speed sensors stuff. So there's a 2-pin. That's a 2-pin sensor. So usually 2 pins it's just a basic switch. So I'll probably you could probably test that with a voltmeter. Go press on the clutch, and if it engages, if you get a short, then it's a switch, clutch switch. The other one is probably the same thing too. This one, it looks like it's a 2-pin. Yeah, I can feel it. It's a 2-pin, so that's got to be the reverse. That's reverse for sure. And 3-pin sensors, in my experience, because it's got 3 pins coming off of it. In my experience, is power, ground, and signal. So you have switches that are actually just switches. It just closes. Closes is on, open. So it's got close, on. So when you step on the clutch, closes, so it can engage the starter, right? So you don't want to start the starter when the car's already running. That's the safety precaution. And also it takes you out of gear, so safety precaution. The reverse, basically you pump it in reverse, right? Once the engine closes, the tail lights turn on. So that's what that's for. So it's basically a switch. Now the other one, the speed sensor, in my experience, what I've seen, you supply voltage to the sensor, and there's a ground, right? But it's like a magnetic pickup thing, right? So there is no physical on and off. So it's more like it's a magnetic thing. So as the gears come by the sensor that's placed, there's a signal that goes out, kind of goes like this on the oscilloscope. So you get like a sine wave, or in this case it'd be more like a square wave, okay? But that goes to the engine, and based on how many squares you get per minute or per second, that's how fast you're going, okay? So kind of, most of you guys who know electrical probably are already like, yeah, you're a dumbass. That's what it always does. But the guys that have never seen electrical before, That's what those sensors will do. So that sensor is going to be on like cam sensors and all that other jazz too. So that type of sensors, that's fairly important. All right, Sunday night, just watched the game. Patriots beat the Minnesota Vikings. Give me a thumbs up if you guys like the. Actually, let me know what you guys. Besides cars, let me know what else do you guys do. You know, are you competitive, or do you just hang out and play video games? I just want to know what my audience is kind of looking at sometimes, or what they like sometimes. But anyways, this video right now for the next couple minutes, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do for the future, like the next 3 or 4 videos. If you've noticed, my last couple of videos, I've been jumping around doing all types of stuff, wiring and turbochargers and this and that and this and that. Well, I'm trying to stop that. I'm trying to stay more consistent, stay more project based, because if I keep jumping around like this thing's never going to get done. So my brother was just over and we were talking about it, and he used to be a Mercedes technician, so he knows cars really well too. We basically were talking, and I said, well, we need to get the electrical done, right? So I gave myself a deadline, January 1st, and I said everything is done electrical wise, okay? Because when you look around the car, there's like hoods on the floor, racing seats over there, roll cages over there, harnesses, it's all over the place, right? So we're gonna just stay, instead of jumping around from thing to things, we're gonna do electrical. Electrical must be done January 1st. And what do I mean by electrical? I mean headlights are working. I mean they're kind of working right now. I just gotta finish up the fog light harness. I'm talking about the engine bay tuck stuff done January 1st. I gotta do say side mirrors and window stuff needs to be done. Sunroof needs to be working. Defoggers in the back needs to be working. Deleting all the other crap too, like all the ABS sensors. That's gotta be pulled out, thrown away. That's what I mean by electrical. We still got to finish off the alternator return power, and we got to do the starter wire, which is already in, but I haven't terminated it yet. And we're also talking about the ECU. So we're going to do the ECU, we're going to mount it, we're going to run power to the dash wires, mount the S2000 gauge cluster, we're going to install the wideband sensor, we're going to do the boost controller, and that's all I can think of right now. I don't want to talk too much, but that's what I got going. That's my plans for the rest of the year. So definitely electrical wiring. So stick around if you guys want to learn something. Maybe not learn something actually, but if you guys watch me do it, you guys can maybe pick up some tips, and it'll help you out in your project, especially doing a project of this caliber. I mean, I see a lot of people putting things together, but I never see them actually like explain things. Why do you have, like, for example, right? I just did my injectors today, redid them, because I didn't do it right 3 years ago, so I redid them. The injectors were actually in too deep, and it wasn't done right. So basically, you have to put a little spacer in between the studs of the fuel rail to put it up a little bit, so it's just the right, like everything should line up, and it lines up good now. But before, it would have. If we turned the car on, it would have squirted gas everywhere. So so we have to send gas to the fuel rail, right? So we have to have a fuel pump. The OEM fuel pump is only, I don't even know, maybe like 150 liters per hour or something like that. I bought a 255 liter per hour Wabro and did all the calculations at first, and it seems like it will hit our target horsepower if you start off with the base pressure fuel rail of 47 to 50. That's kind of the norm. But the thing about the injector dynamics is they want you to run it at a much higher PSI, because the whole design, the whole benefit of those injectors is they will make more power than a standard injector, because if you run them at higher pressures, they will atomize better, therefore making more power with the same amount of fuel. So in order to do that, you need high pressure fuel pumps. The fuel pump that I have is considered medium/high, but when you run it higher than what's normal, say 50, say you start your base PSI at say 65 or something like that, right? That fuel pump is not gonna cut it. So you have to run two of them in line, or you have to run that one to another one. It gets pretty crazy. I've been on the forums a lot, reading up on what works and what doesn't. So yeah, so we're gonna be running electrical wire to the fuel pump. It's definitely an aftermarket fuel pump. I'm thinking dual fuel pumps right now, but I'm not sure yet. And I'm thinking about redoing the entire fuel line, the fuel line from my fuel filter all the way back to the fuel tank. So yeah, so stuff like that we'll do in this coming month. I might not put the fuel pumps in, but the wiring for the fuel pumps will definitely be done. And I'll explain to you guys what gauges I use and things like that, crimp tools you should have, and sometimes you don't really need expensive crimp tools. Stuff like that, maybe some safety feature stuff. You'll learn what I like and what I don't like and what I don't care about. So with that being said, yeah, hang out with me for the next couple of weeks. That's what I'll be doing, and this car should at least start, May, June. So that's what I'm shooting for, because I know I do still fish a lot, and I do still want to do it. So I have to juggle fishing and this at the same time. So yeah, that's the plan for the rest of the year and the coming year. So those are January 1st. All electrical done. All electrical is done. That's a hard target I need to hit. The startup after the electrical is done, the only thing hanging that won't be working at that point will be just the turbo manifold. So once we get the turbo manifold done, everything else would, in my opinion, seem a lot easier to do. So turbo manifold might take me a month to do, just the turbo manifold, because like I said, I still gotta learn how to weld and all this other jazz. I got some friends that have built turbo manifolds before. They're coming over. We're gonna talk about that stuff and maybe give me some newbie pointers, stuff I should do, stuff I should look at, stuff I shouldn't be doing, that type of stuff. So we're definitely gonna be doing that. Stay tuned for that. So and the reason why I'm doing these videos is I want you guys to see how hard it is to build an actual car like this. Something that you can't just buy all your parts off the shelf. And if you are going to attempt something like this, then this is the type of stuff that, for a first timer, the type of stuff that you need to be aware of before you attempt, okay? So here's the quick overview of the car again. I did finally polish my headlights, so they do look better. Yeah. They do look better. I took my spacers out. They're on the ground now. The wheel spacers, I took them out just so I can see the wheel gap again. And as you can see, it's pretty tight up in there for wheel gap. Interior's a mess. Let's do a quick rundown. Interior's a mess. Rear wheels are a mess. We'll take care of that in a bit. And that's the back. It's not closed, but I did push it in a little bit more so I can close the door behind me. So anyways, that's the rundown. Shutting the garage down. Shutting it down. There it is. And see you guys on the next video.